I'm back! My lovely SportsLine viewers, oh how I've missed you. Between flying across the country and the studio being upgraded, it has been over a month since you have seen my lovely face. How sad. But now we have a new studio. Charlie has his favorite co-host back, and we have all of your Explorer Sports. Hello, I'm Meghan Cooney.
And I'm SportsLine only stable host, Charlie Hugg. If we're upgrading the camera quality, then we may as well upgrade our performance quality too. We have weeks of Explorer Sports to catch you guys up on, including some big upcoming playoff matchups, so let's not waste any more time. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. We're back after our 2-week hiatus, and we have all of the Explorer Sports from the last couple weeks to make sure you didn't miss a thing.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3. Number 1, the A-10 playoffs kick off this week. The Explorers will have 4 teams represented in the playoffs. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams will be competing, as well as women's soccer and field hockey.
Number 2, basketball kicks off their season with a scrimmage at Hoops Madness tonight in Tomgola till 7 p.m. Make sure to come out and show your support.
Number 3, Carlota Ungo has been named this week's NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week. Ungo won gold in 3 events to lead the Explorers to a victory against Drexel. Meghan. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today.
I know. It's very great to be back. A lot of things occurring. We're now making the transition from kind of fall sports into winter sports. I know we'll get to that a lot with our recaps of our games coming up, but I feel like that's always interesting to see. We have a lot of teams in the A-10 playoffs this year, and I think that's really, really exciting. We don't normally have this many teams.
As much as I love our sports teams, it's something different that we're not used to seeing all these A-10 playoffs. But I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm very excited to see how we all perform, especially women's soccer. The way that they've finished their season, I don't know if how much you've been keeping up, but some of the goals that they're scoring are like ESPN worthy. So they've been looking really good, really solid. That's probably what I'm most excited for. Field hockey's also had a great season. They had a great season last year too. Always something to look forward to. And cross country, they're always going to be up there. They're always going to be one of our better teams. I'm really excited to see.
Right. I feel like I should go away and come back more often, because the minute I left, women's soccer and field hockey took off like a shot. And I was keeping up. I didn't leave anyone behind. And I do feel like they have been playing amazing, like outstanding. Like you said, these goals, the shots that they're taking are fantastic. And they deserve to be here. Like, we're always talking, I love our sports teams. Sometimes we're not the best, but these teams deserve to be in the spot that they are in right now. And I think it's really fantastic that we have so many in A-10 playoffs.
Yeah, and the big thing is we have home field advantage for soccer. Not only is that great having them here, but just for the fans to finally, not only are you kind of held back from some A-10 playoffs every now and then, but now to finally have the chance to watch your team at home, go and support, is going to be great. And I know that this year they added the student section behind the goalie net. That always brings a great atmosphere. I know that one student always brings the drum. He's always banging on that. That brings just a great atmosphere. So hopefully for playoffs we can get a lot of people out, get it rowdy, and I know that team really thrives off of that environment.
Yeah, and I feel like it's good. I know I've talked to a couple people, been to a couple women's soccer games, and I feel like having that fan base behind you is something that really gets them hype and excited. Like, you know, LaSalle doesn't have a football team. We don't have those big tailgates. We don't have that big fan base, that big crowd that attends a lot. Like, basketball is our big sport that a lot of people show out for. But we can't forget about these teams that play in the fall, that play in the spring, that are doing amazing and that are making these championships. And to have that entire student body behind you is just something that I feel like is always such a good time. And hopefully they'll bring home a win for us.
Right. And so without, harping on it too much, we did just lose our Red October. Yeah. But if we can bring those same vibes to the LaSalle playoffs, I think we got something special in store. Nice. But something that's actually happening currently is that the blue and gold basketball game, which means we're finally kicking off the basketball season, which here at LaSalle is one of our biggest draws. That'll be really cool to see. It'll now be Fran Dunphy's second season. A new coach is always like a learning experience, but I think now that they have that whole season under their belt, a lot of guys coming back, Khalil Brantley, Jameer Brickus, Deshaun Shepard, a lot of these big pieces are here again. And now that they're finally used to that system that Dunphy's brought in, hopefully we see a lot. I mean, they played great last year, but I think now that they're much more comfortable and understand the system, I think we can see a lot of good things coming out of this team.
Yeah, I'm really excited for basketball season to start. Last year when I would sub in, always talking about basketball, and I feel like the team, Brickus and Brantley, have been a dynamic duo since the beginning. Coming back this year, I feel like it's going to be great. They have that energy, they have that camaraderie. Basketball is just such a big sport here at LaSalle, and I feel like it's just fantastic that they're coming back. This blue and gold scrimmage is really exciting. It always gets people hyped up. I know a lot of people go to Hoops Madness, so I'm really excited to see how their season turns out.
Yeah, so we have, like you mentioned, the Killer Bees, Brickus and Brantley. That'll be interesting to watch. The thing I did want to mention about what's going on with this blue and gold game today is they have a special giveaway going on for LaSalle students. Our new president, Dan Allen, will be taking a half-court shot at halftime, and one lucky winner, if he makes the shot, one lucky winner will win free room and board for this upcoming semester and free food and books. I don't know. I feel like there might be a little conflict of interest here for President Allen. I don't know why he would willingly knock down this shot. But.
I feel like that's the whole I don't know. That's the thing about Hoops Madness that I feel like gets people so excited. Like you said, I don't know how much Dan Allen's willing to give away free room and board, being president of the school and all, but I do feel like it gets people out. It gets people excited. I know that Dan Allen and a lot of the administration is always big supporters of all the sports teams and the athletics here at LaSalle, and I feel like that's always great to just see them come out and support us. It's what we do, you know.
I know he's got it in him, though. He did the promo video. He nailed it at the end. There was a clip of him. I don't know if that's just to raise the spirits, but no, he could do it. One last thing I want to touch on is Carlota Unga's Player of the Week, or Student Athlete of the Week, whatever you want. But I think anybody on that team could have made it this week. There was 3 people that had 3 gold medals. The relay teams did great. The entire women's swim team, they had a great week against Drexel. We'll get into that later, but congratulations to Carlota. She had a great week on her own. But we'll definitely talk again about how well that women's team did this week.
Yeah, I feel like it's really exciting. Like I mentioned before, coming into that transition, now we have the winter sports emerging, and you start to see those star players, even in the first couple of games, come out. Like you said, everyone did absolutely amazing, and I'm excited to see where the season takes us because I feel like we're just getting started at this point, and they have an entire season ahead of them. So I'm really looking forward to see where they go with that.
Definitely.
So that's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. Field hockey matched up against VCU last Friday in a close game. There was no score in the first and second quarters due to the strong defense from both teams. In the third quarter, Clara Laripa scored off a rebound right in front of the goalie. This was the first goal of the match, making it a 1-0 game for the Explorers. In the final 2 minutes, the Rams scored to tie up the game. This led the match into overtime. After the first overtime, the match was still 1-1. The game then went into double overtime with just over a minute into the second overtime. Tatum Johnson got a shot on net, and Laripa deflected it over the goalie to end the game 2-1 for the Explorers. On Sunday, field hockey faced off against William and Mary. The Explorers started off strong with Tatum Johnson scoring. This is her 9th goal of the season. Emily Strebe was strong in the net, defending the 1-0 lead through the rest of the first quarter. In the second quarter, William and Mary tied it up, but not long after Solaspana scored, making it a 2-1 game for LaSalle. In the third, William and Mary scored yet again, tying the game to go into the fourth. In the final quarter, Juliana Smythe scored the winning goal with less than 5 minutes left in the game. This 3-2 win is LaSalle's 7th straight win for the season.
Men's soccer matched up against George Washington last Saturday. The two teams played fairly even for the first 30 minutes of the game before the Revolutionary-ish took advantage of a mistake made by the Explorers, giving them a 1-0 lead. At the final 15 minutes of the first half, the Explorers would attempt to make a comeback. Sean Yergel would attempt a shot, but it would hit the crossbar and was swept away. As time was running out in the period, Kyrese Lynch-Bailey found an opening up the left side, passing the ball where it would find the head of Yergel, but once again, the ball would hit the crossbar, and the Explorers remained down at the end of the first half. In the second half, LaSalle would dominate possession and outshoot George Washington 13-3. But unfortunately, none of the shots would find the back of the net, and the Explorers would lose 1-0. On Tuesday, the Explorers would then take on Monmouth. The Hawks controlled the majority of the game in the first half with a 10-3 shot advantage. In the 9th minute, Monmouth would score a goal to give them a 1-0 lead. Philip Sabati played a key role in the field in the first half, making a number of saves that kept the margin at just 1. The Explorers started picking it up towards the end of the first half, attempting 2 shots that slid wide. At the start of the second half, the Explorers continued to apply pressure, and eventually Justin Brunau punched home a chance from in close, tying up the game 1-1 and giving him his first goal of the season. LaSalle continued their relentless pursuit, but neither team would get the ball to the back of the net, and the game would end in a 1-1 tie.
Women's soccer took on Loyola Chicago at McCarthy Stadium last Thursday for their final regular season home match. The opening half of the contest was mostly even as both teams played lockdown defense. LaSalle led in shots in the first half as 4 different Explorers had opportunities to gain a lead. Emily Banaszewski was the lead shooter for both teams as she was able to keep the pressure on the Ramblers with 3 shots on goal, but it wasn't able to make a connection. Both teams fought hard for 90 minutes without a goal in the contest, ending in a draw 0-0. LaSalle women's soccer officially ended their regular season with a matchup against Davidson on Sunday afternoon. The Explorers had a fast start where sophomore Ricochet Walker headed a goal in the 5th minute off a double assist from Madison McCready and Emily Banaszewski off a corner kick. Justice Hollenbach would then come off the bench, scoring another goal from LaSalle off a pass from Banaszewski, giving them a 2-0 lead against the Wildcats. Attempts were made by Davidson going into the second half, but the Explorers were able to set up defensively and secure a win 2-0.
The men's and women's swimming and diving team had a dual meet against Drexel this week. The women would start out the day and come out hot, with Rosalia Marin Martinez, Carlota Ungo, Tori Fenn, and Tony Rafferty securing a first-place finish in the 200 medley relay. Ungo would then continue her great start and come in first once again in the women's 100-yard backstroke. Tony Rafferty would also finish with 2 more impressive races, earning herself second straight first-place finish in the 50-yard free, while also coming in first in the 100-yard free. Ungo would once again follow this race with another excellent performance of her own, coming in first once more in the women's 200 breaststroke, her 3rd victory of the day. Felicia Rogel would continue the Explorers' great day, earning a first-place finish of her own in the women's 200-yard IM, a crucial finish for the end results. Finally, Rafferty, Tori Fenn, Lauren Fenn, and Gabriella Herberter would take the first in the pivotal 200-yard freestyle relay. These performances were enough to earn the women's squad a 159-137 win over the Dragons. The men's team would also have a solid day of their own. Andrea Savoca would secure himself a top spot in the men's 100-yard breaststroke. Another Explorer first-place finish would come in the hands of Zach Miller, whose 46.68 in the 100-yard free would be enough to earn him the top spot. It was then Savoca once again earning his second first-place finish of the day in the men's 200 breaststroke. He was not done, however, and would finish with 1 more gold spot, coming in first in the men's 200-yard IM to finish with 3 top spots on the day. At the end of the day, the men's efforts would not be enough, and they would ultimately fall to the Dragons. The diving team also had a great showing, with Lucas DeCaney staying undefeated with first-place finishes in both the 3-meter and the 1-meter. Kelsey Waddington and Peyton DeCook also shined, taking first and second place respectively in the women's 1- and 3-meter dives.
The men's and women's rowing teams competed at the head of the Charles Regatta this past Monday. For the men's team, the Explorers V8 Plus earned a silver medal in the men's collegiate 8 Plus, finishing with a time of 15 minutes and 25.42 seconds. The Explorers Club 4 Plus boat placed in 5th with a time of 16 minutes and 26.83 seconds. On the women's team, the V8 competed in the Women's Club 8 Plus, placing 21st out of 40 boats with a time of 17 minutes and 27.11 seconds.
Both men's and women's golf had matches this week. The women's team competed at the Lehigh University Invitational on Monday and Tuesday to finish off their fall season. Paige Sermonero led the Explorers, tying for 46 overall, shooting 20 over par 164. She was able to bounce back from her 18 over par 84 on Monday and shoot up 18 spots with 6 over par 78 on Tuesday. Kaylee Zeman would finish in 64th place with a 25 over 169, shooting rounds of 87 and 82 respectively. Hannah Bosler tied for 67th at 174, while Sydney Levery and Nina Okinkova rounded out the Explorers, tying for 81st at 182. Men's golf would then travel to North Carolina to compete in the OBX Intercollegiate. For the men, Gavin Dosh led the Explorers, tying for 15th after totaling a score of 5 over par 218. Benjamin Batty and Nikita Romanov followed, tying for 17th after both shooting a 6 over 219 for the tournament. Alex Geekus and Kevin Linden would round out the Explorers, lining up for 53rd at 232. The Explorers finished 7th in the 15-man field with a total score of 886.
Whoa.
My tongue hurts.
Yeah, that was a lot. And to think that that was only this past week, and we have been gone for 2 weeks, so we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, but it's whether we did it just 1 week or all 3 weeks, it's going to be the same story for this women's soccer team. They just can't stop winning or tying. They haven't lost in a while.
Right.
But they are playing really well. I mean, a second place spot in the A10 playoffs is something that, especially at the beginning of the season, we were not expecting. I mean, if you just think about in terms of the turnaround between the men's team and the women's team came out great. They didn't lose for their first 4 games. They had a rough end of the season. They didn't make the playoffs, but the women's team was able to really turn it around. They had a rocky start, not the worst we've seen, but they were really able to come out and just turn on the Jets. And second place is nothing to. I don't know.
Nothing to sneeze
really
at.
good.
It's really, like I said earlier, I feel like I should go away and come back more often, because when I left, this women's team wasn't doing horrible, but there was something missing and there was something lacking. And I know I love to say, oh, like the talent's there, but the talent was there. And sometimes it just takes camaraderie. It takes a little bit to get everything moving, to get everything to click. And I feel like they found it. They found their groove. They found their flow. And anyone that says they've been to a women's soccer team says that you can feel it. You can feel the camaraderie on and off the field. You can see it. You can witness it. It's just such a vibe being there, because they know what they're doing and they work and bounce so well off of each other. They've had amazing shutouts too. Like their senior day against George Mason, they shut them out 5-0, and that's just absolutely insane. First of all, it was their senior day, so congratulations to all of the seniors. But to do that in a game, and I'm pretty sure it was their last regular season game that they did it in, is absolutely phenomenal. And then here they are securing the 2nd seed in the playoffs. I just think it's absolutely fantastic.
And I think that camaraderie is exactly it that you were talking about. I mean, we're sitting here saying we're surprised. We're not surprised. You could ask them, they said, no, we knew we were going to do this. They are totally confident in their team, especially with a lot of people coming back. Like you mentioned, senior day, the one senior, Madison McCready, having a great comeback season. She tore her ACL last year. She had a rough time coming back, but she's back now. You mentioned her earlier, had the double assist. She's had a great end to the season. She's really picking it up, and a lot of these seniors can say the same thing. And that's what's really cool to see, is that their last year, and this is the best year that they've been on this team, and hopefully they can really make a push in the playoffs and end this with one big bang.
Yeah, I really want to personally shout out their goalie, Michaela. I think that she is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, when I was away, I was keeping up with the sports, and to have multiple shutout games, to give your team that advantage, and to just like her saves. I was looking at her saves. She had 73 saves last year during the season, 75% saves on goal. And she started in all 18 games. So she is tirelessly working, and I feel like sometimes people overlook that. The goalie specifically, to have a 5-0 shutout is fantastic, and I feel like a lot of credit should go to her for that.
And what it really came off the tails was when they played Princeton, she gave up the 5 goals and they lost 5-0, and that actually ended her a spot on the bench for a couple games, but at that did nothing besides light a fire under her, and she came back out and has never looked better. All these shutouts, like you mentioned, but I think that's really what it was, is she had a rough game, and I think to be able to be a junior and to come back and bounce back like that and perform like she has, it's really something to be noted.
It is, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And speaking of shutouts, I kind of want to pivot to another one of our now A10 playoff teams, field hockey. They have also been doing absolutely amazing. Like I said, I leave and all of these teams just get a fire under them, and they're absolutely phenomenal. They had a 7-0 shutout against Queens while I was away, and I just feel like they have been doing phenomenal. They've won all of their latest games, and they haven't given up many goals. It's been 3-1, 2-2 or something. And I feel like they've really been playing good defense, they've been playing good offense, they've been consistent, and now they also punched their ticket to A10s.
And we were able to talk to Tatum and Emily, who we actually talked about earlier, and they said the exact same thing. They came in, they played the top 10 team in Rutgers, and they said they weren't phased. They went in knowing what they had to do. They only lost 2-0, held a top 10 team to 2 points, and now here they are in the A10 playoffs, and we'd expect nothing less. Tatum Johnson having, again, a great season, making first team A10 last year, on her way to do that again this year. Emily having a great season with her saves, all those shutouts, and I think they're really poised for a big push in these A10 playoffs.
Yeah, I really want to, again, and I feel like we've been talking about it all the time, Tatum Johnson, like she just scored her 9th goal of the season, and I know we mentioned it in recaps, but I feel like that is just, she's been having a phenomenal season, she's been having a phenomenal year, and now they're in A10s, and I can't wait to see what they do, because I feel like it's another team, again, that they have that camaraderie, and they have that, they found their niche that works, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
And before we wrap up, I feel like we should just talk about the women's swim team. 3 people winning 3 gold medals is amazing, coming in first all those times. It's now their 2nd win in the season. They're looking really good. The men's team had great performances of their own. Another man with 3 gold medal performances. Again, they couldn't come on top against Drexel, who's a really good swim club. But they have been looking really good to start the season, 2-0, and that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to keep watching as they go.
Yeah, I also want to sneak in some cross-country talk. I know that we are big Mancini stans on this show, and I think we're only down to 1 Mancini left at LaSalle, but that family continues to amaze me to no end. Christine Mancini placed highest in all of A10 runners that competed in their meet about 2 weeks ago. And she just continues, that entire family continues to do amazing things. I know Christine is now a graduate student, so she will be leaving us soon, but I feel like they have put such a name for LaSalle with cross country, and they have made such a name for themselves. They keep putting us on the map to be the only A10 runner to finish in the top 10 of this meet is absolutely fantastic. And you're putting LaSalle's name out there, and you're giving us such a push and such a cred that I feel like there's nothing that you can beat for that.
And again, yeah, it's not one of the most exciting things to watch, but I think they fly under the radar way too much. They're always a consistently really good team, both men's and women's. They're always successful, always consistent, and it's something that I don't think gets praised enough here at this school, but they have really been, like you said, making a name for LaSalle. Absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have all of this week's upcoming games. Stay tuned.
Cool. We were supposed to be.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. These programs cover doctor's appointments, hospital visits, prescriptions, shots, and more. As parents, we get peace of mind knowing that our children are covered if they are sick or get injured. You may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if you've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, I'm worried about your parents. We need to show them how to spot phishing emails.
Agreed, the scammers are out of control.
Plus, help them add multi-factor authentication.
Yes, we use MFA at work and it's great. Software update? Done. Time to celebrate.
For more information on how to keep yourself and those you care about safe online, go to cisa.gov/secure-our-world.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. Community members can be your eyes and ears when you're not with your kids and alert you to signs of potential problems.
Welcome back. We've got another week of LaSalle sports coming up, so here's what you have to look forward to. Men's soccer will close out their 2023 campaign by traveling to Pittsburgh to take on Duquesne on Saturday, October 28th. After claiming their number 2 seed, women's soccer will be at home to host 7th-seeded Rhode Island tomorrow, Friday, October 27th at 7 p.m. for the quarterfinals of the A10 tournament.
Field hockey will travel across town to face rival number 13 St. Joseph's on Friday, October 27th at 3 p.m. They will then be headed to Rhode Island to take on Providence on Sunday, October 29th at 3 p.m. And cross country will travel to Cedarville, Ohio to compete in the A10 championships on Saturday, October 28th.
Rowing will be returning to Philadelphia to compete in the Head of the Schuylkill Regatta on Saturday, October 28th on the Schuylkill River, while swimming and diving will compete this weekend in the Atlantic 10 Classic at George Mason University. All right, good things coming up.
Definitely.
Like we said, we have all these now A10 playoffs coming up. Really excited about that. Excited that soccer is home. I know we touched on it earlier, but I feel like it's always good to have that home field, home team advantage, to be here, to have that student section behind you, to know that you have all of these people cheering you on. I feel like that's always good, and I really hope that they pull out a win because, like we said earlier, if anyone deserves to be here, it's women's soccer.
Absolutely, and if I'm not mistaken, I think if they do win this game, they will have another home matchup, which will be on next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll definitely have our fingers crossed for that. Megan, can we trust you to be back here next show?
I will. It has been so great to be back. I did indeed miss my SportsLine family so much. I will be here till the end. No more absences. I do want to shout out John Freeman and Riley for being an amazing co-host for Charlie while I was gone. You guys did amazing. So I hope you guys didn't miss me too much, but it's good to be back.
Absolutely.
Good to be back with our Explorer Sports, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that just about wraps it up for this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorers play, be sure to tune in for next week's coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For our entire SportsLine team, I'm Meghan Cooney.
And I'm Charlie Hugg. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.